Today I'm doing an unboxing of my Age of Ascension starter kit as well as 2 decks. So we have tokens that are new, including some power counters and stun tokens. There is a more firmer cardboard chain counter, as well as smaller keys and smaller ember and damage counters. And here are the play mats. Really nice thicker quality paper, not something flimsy like I've seen in the past. And of course the decks. Let's get into it and see what we have in store. Some of my favorite cards here, I'm going to start off with Logos, is the Redacted. Nothing wrong with a key cheat, and I think there's just some good ways to archive here, which can help you call Logos more frequently, especially with a card like Archimedes, which I love, one of my favorite cards in the set. And that goes well with the Igor, get you through your deck faster, as well as the double Helper Bot to get those out again. And you can hit up that combo with Coward's End if your creatures are in damage, archiving your whole battle line due to Archimedes and that ruling that just came down. And I also like Sound the Horns, get through your deck a lot faster. And also there's only 5 Brobnar, so that's easy to do. And then the Brahmo is really nice as a playability to also have with Archimedes. Now going into Mars, I really like Custom Virus here. I think there's a tool to utilize that trait, especially with Calfine being a knight. Is it Calfine or Brahmo? Yeah, it's Brahmo as a knight, so you can get rid of Sanctum. Really nice. And then you have the Collector Worm as well, which is a great card for removing stuff from the battlefield. Although if you are using your archives, this may be a little counterintuitive. And then Agent Human being able to reap and do some stunning is always a great aspect to have. Alright, so the next deck here is Petra of the Ash Waste Marsh. So right off the top, interesting things here is there are 2 legacy cards, a Pit Demon and Dis, and a Champion Anaphel in Sanctum. Some notable things here that I'm really enjoying is right off the top, the Silver Key Imp seems pretty cool. Players cannot forge their second key. 2 Banishes, always very good. Nothing wrong with the little board wipe, Key to Dis and Unlocked Gateway. And then under the Sanctum, I like the Opal Knight, I think is pretty awesome. The art is fantastic. And then there's nothing ever wrong with a Lion Botrum, which you can put next to a Silver Key Imp to make it more powerful. And a Cermeros to have a little repaint going on, as well as it being the box card for Age of Ascension. Under Shadows, I'm cool with the Night Forge. I think it's one of those flip a coins whether it's going to work or not, so I wouldn't say the best key cheat, but nonetheless a key cheat. And then it does have the amazing Ronnie Wrist Clocks and the Merkins, really powerful cards. So decent score. Ember, expected Ember isn't great. Ember control is better than some other things I've seen. Decent deck manipulation. So it could be a fun deck. Next up we have Ty-V Glowcheek the Ninth. So, whoa, right off the top, look at this. It's a shard deck. Super rare, I think it's only 1 in 100. Let's look at those shards to start with. First off, under Brobnar, there's the Shard of Strength, and it's give a friendly creature a +1 power counter for each friendly shard. The next up is the Shard of Hope, and it's each friendly creature captures 1 ember for each, a friendly creature captures 1 ember for each friendly shard. And then the Shard of Greed, gain 1 ember for each friendly shard. Wow, that's super powerful. Super excited for this one. And then let's now see some of the other highlights of the deck here. So under Brobnar, there is the Grump Buggy, which I think is a pretty fun card and can make a game fairly grindy, which basically increase the cost of keys for both you and your opponent. It is a symmetrical artifact. And then here I do like the Rock Hurling Giant as well. It's a nice way of doing some removal when you need it. So big fan of this card as well. And it also activates that. It activates the Grump Buggy, and then you have Blood Money, which you can pretty much almost activate right away if you have a Rock Hurling Giant. So I like that. And then Bingle Bang Bang, pretty cool card. Really good for going into some removal again as a creature. And Little Rapskull is always fun, a symmetrical effect where you must fight with your creatures you cannot reap while Little Rapskull's in play. So under Sanctum, I mean, the Doorstep to Heaven obviously jumps out, seems really good, especially when you have something like a Grump Buggy in play, which is going to really increase your key costs, which means people are going to have more Ember, so that could be a lot of fun. Then here is, I really like Barrister Joya. It basically says enemy creatures cannot reap, so a really great card. And then under the Shadow side, we have Sucker Punch, which I like this card a lot. I think it's a really great way. You get an Ember, you can have it archived and recur it if you destroy an enemy. I think it's a great card. And then there's Brend the Fanatic, which is really easy to pull off in this deck. I mean, you do have a Pound. Well, Pound's not going to do it, but you have, I mean, the Rock Hurling Giant. You have Nerve Blast to get there. There's also, what else is in here that can pull that off? Actually, I think it's just those two things, but I mean, I feel like there are ways to make this happen more easily than in some other decks. And then in here, there is also the Lamindra, which could be fun. You gotta watch out for that Sanctum card that basically destroys each elusive creature and Perilous Wilds, things like that. Those could be pretty deadly. What else is in here that I really like? Nothing wrong with a Miasma or a Hidden Stash for archiving. So seems pretty good. I really like the stats here. The Ember Control 11.5 is great. 23 expected Ember, great number. And then having the creature control for 8.5 is not bad at all. Yeah, and 14 expected Ember. I mean, pretty low SAS, but all the other stats on AERC are what I'm exactly looking for. So I'm super excited to jam this deck right here. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Alof Countess Tin Whisker Cervantes. So a Brobnar Logos Mars deck, and it does have a Legacy EMP Blast, which is really nice. So under the Brobnar side of things, I really like, again, Bingle Bang Bang. Super awesome. Ooh, a Drummer Knot. Really excited for that, and I believe there's a couple things here that's going to pair well with. Cowfine. Bingle Bang Bang is going to be great with that. And then you got the Grumpus deck here. So it's got a Grumpus Tamer, which when you reap, you can search your deck and discard pile for a War Grumpus, reveal it, and add it to your hand, and then you shuffle. And then it has 2 War Grumpuses, which fight or reap. You ready and fight with a neighboring giant. So I mean, this could go off with the drummer knot to trigger it a second time, which is pretty cool. And I mean, if you can get your Bramo up and down a couple times that way, that would be pretty cool. So I like that little combination there. Under Logos, first off that jumps out is Eureka. Gain 2 and archive 2 random cards from your hand, so you essentially get 3 Ember for playing this as your first card. I do like that quite a bit, especially if maybe your hand isn't amazing and you kind of, especially maybe if you're like a 2/2/2 line and you don't really know where to go. I feel like this card could be really powerful to help that. And then I think Desanya is a really great card. Your opponent discards each of their archive cards and you give 1 Ember for each card discarded this way. It can be very powerful in an Agent of Ascension world where archiving is more of a thing. And then lastly, I do like the double Igor in this. Igor is one of my favorite Logos cards just because it's getting you through your deck faster as well as letting you see something that you may need more crucially at a point in the game. Moving on to Mars. For here, I like the Hypno Beam, I think. Just straight up action play, gain control of an enemy creature. Seems very powerful. And then follow that up with a Tixel Beam Buckler. I think it's a really good card. Play, deal 2 damage creature, and move it to either flank of its controller's battle line. This could be good just for disrupting some of that Sanctum deploy that gives its creatures extra powers. If you have like a Boutrum that's going to basically give something +2 power, and that's a problem, you could essentially move it out of the way and put it on a flank so it's no longer doing that. So I think that's really great. And then obviously the Collector Worm is always great for being able to get rid of something that's maybe a big threat. So the Ember control here is 3.5. It's on the low side, but that's kind of the situation with Age of Ascension, so not totally out of the ordinary. Expected Ember is 19. Does have some artifact control and some good creature control as well, and some pretty decent deck manipulation, as well as 13 raw Ember, and then it has the Key Abduction key cheat, which if you are doing some archiving, it could work. And I mean, there is only 5 creatures here under Mars, so not a huge number to return for Mothership, but still could be very helpful. So yeah, this deck looks like it could be a lot of fun. Alright, so that's going to do it for this episode here of the unboxing of my first shipment of Age of Ascension. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Please like and share, and you can find me on social media on Twitter and Instagram at Boulevard Paper Fight. Have a good one.